Are you thinking that you could move abroad to supercharge your retirement and make your money go farther? Or maybe you're thinking you can use geo arbitrage to retire earlier, retire faster, get out of the rat race. If either one of those things are something you're thinking about, I just did it. Let's talk about it. My name is Jeff. This is the Retirement Mentality channel. It's a place where I want to change your mentality about retirement. And I like to do that by sharing some of my stories and experiences about things that I've done, how I used real estate to retire early. I used the income from the real estate, from the rentals, to not have to work and to retire earlier. And I'm not selling courses, I'm not selling digital products. I'm just trying to give my perspective to try to help people who may be thinking about doing some of the things I've already done. And so what I just did, the most recent thing I did, is moved here to Spain. I'm in the Pyrenees Mountains. You can see the mountains behind me here. I'm standing in my front yard. And so I want to talk about people who are, I want to talk about, using geo arbitrage, and I want to talk to the people who are thinking about maybe moving abroad to make your money go farther, because that's a big reason of why we're here. Obviously, money is not everything. There's other considerations to take into account. There's lifestyle and cultural things and all kinds of different things. So let's sort of break those down for you. Obviously, money is going to be one of the biggest ones. So let's talk about the financial side of what I've accomplished by moving here to Spain. And pretty much everybody's biggest expense is going to be their housing expense. So what I did was I sold my house in the US. It was a $700,000 house. I sold that and I bought a $350,000 house here in Spain. So what I was able to do is pay off my mortgage on my US house. I got money left over from that, about $500,000, and I bought a $350,000 house here, and I had some money left over. So my mortgage was $25,000 a year. So I basically erased that mortgage. That included my taxes and insurance. So I'm going to break that down for you. But I basically took $25,000 and erased it out of my expenses. So my taxes in the US were about $3,000 a year. My taxes on this house here are about $500 a year. And my homeowner's insurance on my house in the US was over $6,000 a year. I think it was about $6,200. And that is now $500 a year. And I also had flood insurance on my house because I lived right by the beach in Florida. And my flood insurance was another $1,000 a year. And that went to zero. So my taxes, insurance, and flood insurance was roughly $12,000 a year. And now it's about $1,000 a year. So even if I had paid off my mortgage in the US, I still would have that $12,000 a year expense. And now it's $1,000 a year. So it's very inexpensive I keep pointing over here because my house is right here. I'm standing in the front yard. You can't see it. So the point is, it's very inexpensive to run this house. Some other expenses that I have, my Wi-Fi here, well, the first thing we did was got that installed when we got here. It runs me $30 a month, and that's just Wi-Fi. I don't have cable or anything like that. So $30 a month for my Wi-Fi. And my trash is, we don't know the exact price of it. We're kind of gauging it from my mother-in-law's price of what she pays. We just registered our house with the city and everything. We haven't received a bill. But my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they pay $90 per year for their trash pickup. They don't come to your house and pick it up. You have to drive it. We have to drive down the driveway and go across the street, and there's big dumpsters over there. And in Spain, they have one for glass, one for plastic, one for paper, one for trash, and another one. I forget what it is. But we have to take our trash down there. It's no big deal. They don't come to the house. I live out here in the country anyway, so it's fine. But I'm going to call it less than $100 a year for my trash. My water is free. We're on a well and a septic up here in the country. So I got zero bill for water and septic. What else? Oh, our cell phones. We're not living here full time yet. We're going to probably spend about 4 or 5 months a year here for this year at least. We'll see how next year goes. So we kept our US phone plans. So my wife is on Mint. She pays like $15 a month. And so I think she paid, I don't remember what she paid, an extra $30 or something for an international plan. And I have Verizon, and Verizon just started in May, new plan. So now it's only $10 a month to add an international plan to my Verizon account. So whatever your Verizon account would cost, plus $10 a month, depending on wherever you live. And that gives me unlimited data, calls, and texts and everything here in Spain. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, I'm just telling you what I got. So I think that's most of our fixed costs. Groceries, who knows what you eat and how fancy you are if you shop at the discount food store or Trader Joe's or whatever grocery store. So I'm not going to go into my whole grocery bill. Plus, you know, we've only been here for about 2 weeks, so we're still buying condiments and olive oils and stock in the fridge and stock in the cabinets. So we don't have a good gauge of exactly how much we've spent. I can just say I think most things are about 25% less. There's some things that cost more. Like I didn't think I was going to be able to get. I'm a big Mexican food fan. I eat a lot of tacos and Mexican food. And they don't have really Mexican restaurants here in Spain, and I've had a hard time. I haven't ever lived here before, so I haven't looked hard for Mexican products in the grocery store. One of our little grocery stores here does have a little Mexican section in the store. It's about this big. But like a can of black beans costs €3.28, which is almost $4 a can for black beans. But they have tortillas and they have salsa and they have some of the spices and things you need to make Mexican food. So I was very happy to find that. So not everything is cheaper, but most things are cheaper. You know, we're used to spending $10 for a bottle of wine in the US, and you can buy wine for €1.88 here. We've tried most of those and they're okay. They're not horrible. But we find that we're spending about $4.50 to $5.50, maybe €6.50 euros for a bottle of wine. You can do the conversion based on whatever the hell the dollar is doing. It's been all over the place. And beers, beers we're paying between 50 cents per beer and $1 to €1.02 per beer when you buy them. Like, it doesn't matter if you buy one or you buy 30 of them, they're all the same price. But meat is much cheaper here. Breads are much cheaper here. Eggs are much cheaper here. I was going to tell you what we paid for eggs and I forgot. But it was like, we just got them on a discount. It was like, I don't even know if it came 15 eggs and it was like €2.50. So lots of things are cheaper here. And eventually, once we're here for a couple months, I'll do a grocery breakdown for you and I'll share more information on that. The next big consideration, if you're going to do a big move abroad like this, is visa and residency requirements. And I'm not going to get into whatever country you're thinking about going to. I'll just tell you my experience, which is probably a little bit different than most people. I am married to a Spanish lady, so I didn't have to get a visa like most people have to get. I get you're married to a Spanish lady reunification type of a visa. So it's a lot easier for me to do that. And by a lot easier, I mean still very difficult, because the bureaucracy here in Spain and wherever in the world you think you're going to go is probably going to be way worse than we were used to dealing with in the US. We lived in the Virgin Islands for a couple of years. I'm actually wearing a Virgin Island Yacht Club shirt right now. We lived in the Virgin Islands for a couple of years, and going to the DMV, getting a business license that I had to get, anything you have to do to deal with the government is just a total pain in the ass. And it's the same here. Like I say, we've been here for about 2 weeks, and my wife started working on my visa, if you want to call it that, 4 weeks before we got here. And we needed to get an appointment and all these things, and we couldn't get an appointment. And we had her mother and her father trying to log in to get appointments, and her sister works at a police department, and some of the people in the police department had connections in the government, and they were trying to talk to some people to try to help us out. And it was a total disaster. We finally got it done. And we have to drive an hour and a half to go to where the government is from where we live. And we went there, and we had 36 documents. We had a stack of paperwork like this. And she went through it all. She's like, oh, no, you're missing 2 pieces of paper. So we had to come back here, file some paperwork with our city hall here, which actually went better than I thought in our little tiny city hall here. They're very helpful and friendly. And then we had to drive back over there. So it took us 2 trips over there. Anyway, it's a big pain in the butt, no matter what visa you're going to get, no matter where in the world you're going to get. And I'm not going to go into every single different type of visa for every place in the world, but just expect that it's going to be horrible. And I'd like to say here also, I don't speak Spanish very well. There's no way in hell I could have done it without my wife. She did literally everything. I just showed up where she told me to. So it's not to say that you can't do it if you don't speak Spanish or the local language wherever you're going, because there's somebody you can pay that will do it for you. I kept telling her as she was getting frazzled, and I just kept saying, like, let's hire a lawyer, let's hire a lawyer. She was like, nope, I can figure this out, I can do it. She was determined to do it on herself, and kudos to her. She did it, she hammered it out, and we got it done. But you can always pay somebody to help you with those things. You can also pay people to help you get your electric and your water hooked up and get your DMV car tags and all sorts of things. So just remember that when you start to get frustrated, it's just money. Just pay somebody and they'll help you do it. Okay, the next biggest concern everybody always has is healthcare. Healthcare is a big issue in wherever you live. So you've got to get healthcare wherever you're going. You may qualify for free healthcare, you may not. Most people, even if they do qualify for free healthcare, they usually pay to get the private system as well if you can afford it. So for us, since we're not living here full time, we have basically a travel insurance healthcare to cover us while we're in Spain for these 4 or 5 months we're going to be here. And there's several different companies that do it. The big ones like Cigna and Aetna and whoever else they are, Sanitas. A lot of those require you to pay for a year in advance. And then if you're only here for 5 months and you don't have any claims and then you cancel it after 5 months, they probably will refund you back the difference. And probably is the main thing here. And if you had any kind of claim or you went to the doctor, you probably won't get it back. Nobody really knows. But we found one called Feather, and they allowed us to pay monthly. And again, not sponsored by anybody. This is just what we have. I'm just trying to help you guys out. So we paid for it for however many months we're going to be here. And it has no deductibles, and it has no copays, and it has no out-of-pockets, and it covers you for cancer and COVID and whatever else. It doesn't cover us if we go back to the US, but we still have our US healthcare if we go back there. So that's a pretty good deal. We did, just a little more information on that. We did get a quote for them. If we were going to live here full time and become residents, we could keep the same Feather program, and it would only be $750 per person per year. So $1,500 per year, and both of us would be covered with this insurance, which sounds pretty good. And we may qualify for the free public health care as well. We don't really know yet. I think if we started paying taxes, then we would qualify for that. But nevertheless, we could pay. Okay, my battery died and both of my backup batteries were also dead. So I switched cameras. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one looks better. I look kind of dark on this one. I'm going to have to use my power of editing to lighten me up. Anyway, I lost my train of thought a little bit. So healthcare, I'm paying $60 a month for my travel insurance. No deductibles, no out-of-pockets, no one of those things. It would cost me $750 a year if I became a resident here for the private health insurance. And that's one of the big differences here in the EU is you don't have those big copays, you don't have those big deductibles, you don't have the big out-of-pockets. So living here full-time, if I had this insurance all the time, I would know exactly what I was going to pay. And if there was any kind of a problem, in the US, I think my wife and I both have about $15,000 of out-of-pocket we could end up with. So if both of us had a health problem, that could be $30,000 really quick. When we lived in the Virgin Islands, my wife had her face went numb right here. No one could figure out. She had CAT scans and she spent a night in the ER and all these things. And she racked up $10,000 in medical bills, boom, like that. So that's one big plus to the healthcare system here in the EU. At least if you're looking at Thailand or Philippines, I don't know. Leave me a comment down below if you know anything about that. I'd be curious to find out. But that is my take on the healthcare system here in Spain, at least where I'm at. Okay, the next topic I thought I would cover is banking and taxes. Taxes especially are a big one. But I want to talk about banking because you're going to need a bank account. You're going to need to transfer money, especially if you're going to buy a house. So all these things are important to learn how they work in a foreign country. So here in Spain, for instance, most banks charge you a monthly fee just to have a bank account. It's usually between 5 and 15 euros per month, depending on the balances of what type of an account that you want to have. So what we did, one of the things we did when we had to open a bank account to transfer the money to buy the house. And when we were with our banker, he was telling us how much it was going to cost to keep a bank account open. And we knew that if you had your homeowner's insurance with the bank, that sometimes that makes a difference. So we paid for our homeowner's insurance for the house through the bank. And as I mentioned before, that homeowner's insurance is only $500 per year. It was actually so cheap that we paid for 3 years up front, and that got us an additional discount. But it also got the banker to waive all of our monthly fees for our bank account. So we do have a free bank account because we got the homeowner's insurance through the bank. When we do buy a car, we're probably going to do our car insurance through them too, because it adds more discounts probably to the homeowners and some other things. I don't know. But it was pretty cheap. And as far as transferring the money, we do use the Wise account. Again, not sponsored. That's just who we used. It's supposed to be, all the research we did said it was the best one. It gave you the best rates. And I think we made some mistakes the first couple times that we transferred money. And let me tell you, when you're transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars internationally through an online bank like Wise or whichever Revolut or whoever you choose to use, it's a little nerve-wracking, and you're watching the conversion rates between the euro and the dollar, and you just push the button and poof, there goes 50,000, poof, there goes 100,000. We didn't do it all in one go. We did it in a couple transactions to send it all over. And a lot of people think you can just put the money into Wise and then take the money from Wise to your attorney or your lawyer, their equivalent of a title company here. And that wasn't the case for us, at least. Maybe in some bigger cities like Barcelona or Madrid or something, you can do that. But out here in the boonies, nobody ever heard of Wise. They didn't know what it was. They said, you have to have a Spanish bank account. So luckily, we already had the Spanish bank account set up. So we transferred the money to Wise and sent it from dollars to euros in Wise. And then we sent the euros from Wise to our Spanish bank account. And then we transferred the money from the Spanish bank account to the attorney to pay for the house. Another thing, Spanish banks basically don't have savings accounts. They definitely don't know what a high yield savings account is. I asked our banker, I had my wife ask him because he didn't speak any English. I had said, ask him about if there's any kind of a high yield savings account we can put some money into while it sits here. And he just looked at us like we had three eyeballs. Spanish people don't really have savings accounts and retirement accounts and those kind of things. I'm sure some do. Don't blow me up in the comments. But for the most part, they don't. And if they do, it doesn't pay any kind of an interest. They do have some kind of a savings account that pays a little bit of interest, but you can leave the money in the Wise account. It pays way more than what any kind of a Spanish bank account would. When you leave it in dollars, if you transfer it from dollars, if you just move your dollars into Wise and leave it at dollars, it pays you a pretty good. I don't know what the rates are today. I didn't look it up. Let's call it 4%. Pay you 4% interest while your money sits in there. If you transfer it into euros, it pays like 1.2% or 1.6%. I don't know what the number is again. So that it's ready to transfer over to your bank account. So you can keep your eye on that. You can look at conversion rates and figure out what's best for you. But that's probably a better bet than just putting money into a Spanish bank account and hoping you get some interest. I think I said banking and taxes. This video is dragging on. I'm going to just scratch taxes off of this. It's way too complicated to get into, and I'm not going to get into taxes, but be sure you do your research because it makes a big difference, especially like here in Spain. If you sell your house and then you move to Spain and you're here, if you sell your house in January and you move here in May and you're a tax resident for the year, you're going to end up paying capital gains taxes on your house you sold back in the US or the UK or wherever you came from. So I'm not going to get into taxes. I'm just going to say you need to really dig in hard on that one. And the final topic I wanted to touch on is cultural and lifestyle adjustments or differences. And there's a lot to unpack here as well, but I just want to hit some of the high points. And the biggest one for me, at least right now, is language. Like I said before, I don't really speak Spanish. I have a little bit, like I can point at things, I know what they are, but I can't conjugate verbs. I can't really put a sentence together. It's very difficult for me. And before you move to a place, you learn the language, you dumbass. Why don't you learn to integrate? I could just say this to you, suck it. You know what? I'm here, I'm learning it, I got to do better, and it's on my list of things to do. But, for me, like I'm going to be happy. There's a river right down here. I'm going to be happy fly fishing in that river and going hiking in these mountains over here and working in my yard. I'll tell you more about how much land I have probably in another video. Working on buying a bunch of land here. So, but I am going to want to have a friend. It sucks when I'm somewhere and I want to make a joke and I know what's kind of going on, but I can't make a joke. And I'm pretty helpless here. I can't do anything without my wife, and that's hard. And that's probably the hardest thing for me. And I knew it was good. We chose a place where nobody speaks any English. So I knew this was going to be a big issue for me. There's some other expat places we could have moved to, and I like them very much, but we just decided we want to be in the mountains, and there's not a lot of English speakers up here. So this is what we chose, and I'm dealing with it. But that's probably the biggest cultural difference for me that I have to deal with at this point. The next biggest one, cultural lifestyle change, is the basic pace of life. We're up here in our house a lot. We've been doing a lot of projects up here, so we're not too much down into the town, but the pace of life is way different here. And you have to remember that everything closes from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock. So if you want to go to the grocery store, you want to get anything done. Like, they're just not open. Our post office in our little village here is open from 9 in the morning until 11 in the morning. And that's it. If you don't do your postal work before 11 a.m., you got to wait till tomorrow. So there's a lot of that stuff that kind of sounds cute until you need to get shit done, and then it's not so cute. But once you learn, which I haven't learned yet, I'm kind of a go person, even though I say I'm very lazy. You have to learn to at least accept the hours of business that are going on. And eventually you'll get more and more into the siesta lifestyle and the slow pace of life, and it'll be a pro. But in the beginning, especially when you're trying to do paperwork and get visas and all the clothes on your house and all those kind of things, it's a big con. But a pro that I can say also is, you read in the forums and things, if you're doing research, like, oh, food just tastes better. And it's true, food does just taste better, and it's hard to kind of put your finger on it. But the other day we were in town and I wanted something, I wanted a snack. I didn't know what I wanted, and nothing was looking good. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get some chicken wings. I don't think I've ever had chicken wings in Spain. So I got the chicken wings, and first of all, they were like this big. They were little. And I was like, this is from a real chicken, not some microbiotic injected gargantuan KFC chicken. It was from a real ass chicken, and the bone, little chicken legs were like this big. I think a lot of Americans would be like, this is bullshit. I want big chicken wings. Like, I'm used to chicken wings this big at Hooters. Well, you know what? Real chickens that aren't filled up with antibiotics and things have little tiny legs. Like when we lived in St. Thomas and then see these chickens running around, I'd be like, I bet if I pulled that chicken leg off there, it'd be like, anyway. So it was little. And then it doesn't come with any sauce. It didn't have buffalo sauce. It didn't have barbecue sauce. It didn't have boom boom sauce. It didn't have any sauce choices. Just chicken wings. And it came with fries. And they don't give you any ketchup. And if you ask for ketchup, they give you little tiny packages of ketchup. Because we're not in America. And I took the first bite of I was like, oh, so I don't know if I'm gonna like this chicken wing with no sauce at all. And I ate that damn little tiny chicken wing, and it was so good. I just like savored the flavor of the chicken wing in my mouth as I chewed it. It was really good. I'm sorry to go off on these chicken wings, but it's just an example of how food does taste better here. The vegetables taste better here. The red peppers are like this big. The green peppers, though, they're also like this big. So the vegetables are good. You'd have to wait till things come into season here. You can't just buy any vegetable anytime you want. You got to wait till things come into season because they're not in some warehouse or shipped from Ecuador or wherever. You buy what's here. So that's a big pro for me. So you tell me, where are you thinking about going? Are you thinking about leaving the US? Are you thinking about leaving Great Britain, Ireland, wherever you're living now? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what countries you're looking at moving to. And tell me, is it because of geo arbitrage? Is it because of lifestyle? Is it because of money? Is it because you married a Spanish lady? Tell me why you're thinking about it. And I'd love to see like what kind of places you guys are thinking about going. And if you like this video, go watch this video and it'll tell you a little bit more about why we moved here and kind of how the move went. And maybe you'll like it. Maybe you already saw it. If you saw that one already, go watch a different one. But stay on my channel. And, oh, and give me a like and give me a subscribe and stick around, and I'll keep making these videos for you guys.